through some of the. You're staying here.
Yeah.
So the.
I'm gonna hand them off.
Anyways, this player, big part of our team, like you all are. One thing we love about this player is he can play multiple positions, quick speed, big hits. We can put him anywhere. And Caleb Granger.
Come on, get a trophy, Caleb.
Caleb played on the ABC Border Bowl team last year as a junior.
What's up, Caleb?
What's up, Caleb? Nice to have you. There you go. All right.
No, Caleb would be this guy. I hate this guy. I pound again. I gotta probably say it before each I sing the Troy. One of the most personal guy. Before every practice, he'd come up to me, put his fist out, calls me Brass. Hey, Brass. His mom and dad call me Brass all the time too. Hey, Brass, how's it going? Probably, I would say if you had to do a leg press, he's got the strongest legs on the team. Always hammered him hard to keep moving his feet, and if he learns to move his feet quicker, he'll be even more of a powerhouse. I think this is the second year I had him, and I hope we get him again if we coach. Aiden Barrett. Right, Barrett.
Bye-bye.
Good job, buddy. There we go. Yeah. Okay. When Hicks first came out, I didn't want to start telling him about this kid, that kid, and this kid. I wanted him to figure it out himself because him and Scotty could size up talent very, very quickly. But I kept on telling him about this guy because he was quiet. He's a rep hockey player, and I told him this guy was a stud for me at linebacker last year when he came, and he was a gamer. And there's a lot of you first-year players, including my own kid, who was a running back that, with the talent that we had, these guys had to play different positions, and not one of you guys bitched or complained, and this guy never bitched or complained. And when it came down to the final games that we played, and we want to put our best of the best out there, this guy started at DB, and I hope he comes back and plays again. Major piece of this, the team we had, Tristan Lindsay. Good job, buddy.
All right, this player's a junior player on the team. He's a developing player. But, you know, I tell you, I definitely see some fire in this young man. I know by the end of the year, he knew the offense. Like, he understood. He can make some catches. He started gaining some confidence. And I really, really hope that he comes back next year for his senior year at Junior Bantam, because I believe he could be a star receiver and more, maybe even on the defensive side. Luca, Melvin. Well done, buddy. Got speed.
Good job, Luca.
Got it on there. Keep focused, all right? All right.
Stay away from the girls.
Okay.
The best ringtone. What do you mean? I'm the
This
best.
guy was one of many players that show up. As much as I got the title of the hard ass, nothing makes me more happy when I see kids showing up smiling all the time. And there's about 6 or 7 of you. This guy came in after registration was closed. And one of the things that my respect level went up, I think it was the stepdad. I'm not sure if you're the real dad or it was the stepdad. You're the stepdad. And he came up to me on practice and said, "Can I talk to you, coach?" And I'm like, "Oh shit, here we go." And I said, "What's up?" And he goes, and this is the epitome of a complaining parent. Not that we had any on the team this year. And he came and said, "Coach, what can I do to have my kid get better?" It's very, very smart. It's a way of saying that he wants to play more, get involved. I don't think he missed too many practices when he came. And he smiled every practice when he came up, which was infectious. And he got better and better at the end of the year. He was a major part of our title too. EJ, Ethan Lucas. Good job, buddy.
I should have put EJ on the thing because they're like, "Is this EJ?" And I'm like, "Yes."
Good job, buddy.
So this next player was a first-year baller. We definitely seen he had some good athletic ability. And like a lot of the players this year, as a new coaching staff blended with two associations, we try to find spots for players that best suited them as well as the team. And we moved him around here, moved him around there. We weren't really sure where his strengths were. But we found that he was pretty good at certain things, and we finally found a really good spot for him at the middle linebacker, and he started excelling because he was playing a little bit of outside, a little bit of DN, and then he started looking really good, that middle linebacker, and I think he found his spot there. Unfortunately got hurt.
He played with a concussion in that Valley Championship game and had his bell rung majorly.
Told nobody.
Told nobody. And played that football game in there too, which showed me.
That's a lot of guts.
I don't know how smart or dumb he was, but we'll go with it.
We'll go with that.
Okay.
But anyways, Quinn Messing.
Good job, buddy.
Congratulations.
Okay. I think I leaned on this guy as hard as anybody and probably screamed his name I don't know how many times. And I've
Did anybody guess?
Anybody? Only because he's one of the best players on the football team. Here's another guy that stepped up at playing fullback, was the quintessential outside linebacker. And why I would scream Sanderson 10 times a game and beat him down if they're making the edge. And I'll tell you, sometimes I'd yell his Sanderson, and he'd just look at me like, "Shut up, you fat bastard." He'd just give me that look, and look at me, and I'm looking at him like this. But he'd come back the next play, and he'd make a play. Then he'd look at me, and I'm like, "Hey, we're all good to go." Sanderson, Sanderson.
Okay, this player here is one of our O-line, I like to call them the Hoggies, and that's a compliment. This kid here's got tons of talent. He's strong. Dude, you can take it places. You gotta stay focused and realize your strengths and understand you can do it. Believe in yourself. Because I tell you right now, this man can go a long way. Diego.
One of our best defensive tackles.
And he'll never forget his cleats
Good job. Hey,
again,
Diego.
ever.
Good job, buddy.
Again. Right, Diego?
He looks like a badass. Oh. Talk about a kid showing up with a smile on his face every freaking practice. Always happy. Always happy. He was infectious. I've had this kid, it might be my third year, I think I've had him now. And it was very tough trying to find a very important position, which was center. Nobody could snap. And this guy, the kid hammered me. I knew he wanted to play defense. I knew he'd say, "Coach, I want to play linebacker, play defense." But we needed him at center, and he never bitched or complained. When you see a good ref hockey game and there's no penalty calls and you don't notice the ref, you know it's a good ref game. You never noticed a bad snap, ever. I don't think I seen one bad snap that he made, which means he blended in and made no mistakes.
Gave me great confidence to run the offense that we ran.
Okay, and started every play that came to Saj. So this one goes, and I also made him, I usually do rotating captains, but he was one of my captains, so he led by example. Kate Nexner.
Good job, Ken. Pleasure, buddy.
Good job, buddy.
So this next player is a junior this year. I'm going to tell you something about this kid here. He's got some good speed. He's got some good hands. And I really think that, I really believe that this kid focuses and gives it his all and trains and really wants it, I think he can become a really good football player because his athletic ability is not unquestioned. And it's unfortunate that he got injured this year and couldn't realize his potential this year. But you do have another year left as a senior at the JV level. Michael Dinas. I'm sorry. Anybody feel better? Yeah. All right.
Good job, buddy. Good job, Mike. Another kid with an infectious smile. This guy, between him and Exner, as far as being on happy pills every day, this guy was right up there. Quick story about him. We're in the Valley Championship game, and I tell the DBs, do not let anybody behind you. It was 6-0 with 3 minutes to go, and they pitch it back to the black kid, Gale, and they throw the ball and burns this kid. And he came off, and I ripped him pretty hard. And I told him, what did I tell you to do? I was so hard on him. Hicks grabbed me by the shoulder and said, hey, your little eye's a little bit watery. And I backed off, and I'm like, okay. But the next play on the defensive play at 6-0, and somebody knocks the DB down, and who's there to pick the ball up? Very next play. Very cool. I've never seen the biggest smile on his face, and he redeemed himself very, very well. That was very cool, because in football, I told you before it happened, you can make up because there's always another play in football, and that was a major play in that game. Josh Smith. Good job, buddy.
All right. Well, before I say this, we all became Meadow Ridge Knights. This player is a junior player, and he's from Mission. And he was a really good flag player for us in Mission. He never played tackle ball before. Really? Yeah, of course you do. But I think at the beginning of the season, I think this player was a little bit overwhelmed. Because all of a sudden he couldn't catch, he couldn't block, he's like wasn't running. And it wasn't because he didn't have the talent. It was just because he was just it was a new thing. The game was moving really fast for him. But it didn't take long before he found his stride, became a starting wide receiver for our team, and was one of the best blocking wide receivers on the edge I've ever seen at this level, and that's Lincoln Smith. Nice
job, buddy.
Cat catch it?
Again, one of the nicest kids on the team. I'm going to be brutally honest with this too. When he first came out, he was a receiver, and I told Hicks, I don't know, man. He came out a little bit nervous. I looked exactly like this kid when I was 13, by the way, identical.
Did.
I did. And I don't know, he's dropping a couple balls, and I said, I don't know to trust him throwing the football. Dave kept saying, I'm telling you, like, well, then you know something I don't. I love him, and he's not good. By the time the season ended, he probably caught more deep balls than any receiver on the team. He caught, 4, 5, 40, 50 yards that sawed through to him. Key touchdowns. He became one of the go-to receivers. This goes to Josh Clark. Good job, buddy.
Okay. This player's I'm not sure what to call him. First, second, third year. I don't know. Played both ways. All I can say about this guy's absolute beast. We were hoping that he would be what he ended up being, and he was, and that's Wesley Latour.
Good job, buddy.
Leslie.
Here is a guy I think I've had now, he's been in 2 provincials with me, and he got his bell rung hard, and he was out, I think, for 3 weeks, or when he got hit hard in practice, and it was one of the worst concussions I think that he had. He was having headaches, and he was trying to find his way. This is a guy that was a stud in Adam, even in Pee Wee, quarterback, running back, and the coolest things that happened with this guy this year, trying to find his way after a concussion, coming back, you're a little bit tentative to go back hitting again. It's very, very tough to come back to. It happened to me in lacrosse, and it takes a while to get going. And one day he stood up, smaller, got the lineman, and he wanted to play lineman. I think with about maybe 3 or 4 games to go with him. And I nicknamed him the Rat, because I was laughing at guys like Toby and Levi trying to get him, because when you're smaller, you got fast feet, you can run around the lineman. And he did that against Cloverdale. He did that in the semi against Victoria, even the game leading up to it. And that was a very unique position that he played. He bucked up and to go from a quarterback, running back, DB to lineman, I don't think I've ever seen it before. Isaiah Cavalli. Good job, buddy.
Okay, the next player. You know, I tell you, if it was week 2, I wouldn't be saying the same thing about him.
Is he here?
I'm gonna say it anyways, whether he's here or not.
I haven't seen him if he is.
But we really didn't. We weren't really sure where to put him. Another player that we weren't sure where to put him. A little bit inconsistent at times, but he was a great kicker. I know I'll talk about him anyways. He was money. It was like 2 points money. It was get the snap down. Sanderson with a snap. Brass with the pin. And he built the 2 points. But as the season progressed, he was in and out of linebacker, DN. Quinn went down, and he finished his last 2 games at middle linebacker with Gavin. And we just were blown away how well he did. Like, he picked it up, worked his butt off. And wow, I mean, I have a ton of respect for this kid. I wish he was here tonight. So
he should try for portable kicking for sure.
He's this kid's an insane kicker. One of the best kickers I've seen at this level, and I've been around for a long time. Anyways, that's Caden Shepherd.
He's sick.
Yeah.
Brian, just so everybody knows, Brian is recording it. I will put it to a Dropbox, or we'll figure something out so everyone will get the link. So those kids aren't here too.
I think this guy was a first-year player.
I believe so.
I don't, to start at junior bantam and never play football before is like, you know, going to play rep hockey with guys that have been playing for 5 years. Very, very tough. It's not like coming in at Adam or Pee Wee. And he came on, and we saw his footwork and agilities were off the charts, and I recommend you try playing flag, this guy that I call, because I think you'd be an elite flag player. And you caught on very quickly this year. And you could be a starting running back, possibly in your 2nd year, starting deep returner, and some other things. And again, very, very cool parent, the dad. I love him to death. And this one goes to Renzo.
I knew it.
Good job, buddy.
Jesus. I guess this is a first-year junior bantam scrub that we picked up. I'm not sure how he made the team. He's not very big. He's not extremely fast, but somehow ended up starting on the defense and the offense and played Border Bowl last year. Kid's incredible player. All seriousness, he did everything for us. Special teams. I think he probably collected about, I might be wrong here, but at least 10 to 12 onside kicks. Some key catches, some key runs, some great edge blocks, great touchdowns, great defense. I could go on, but for a player that's a junior player to come into the junior band level and start both sides of the ball and actually won. We actually almost crashed him and burned him in the Valley Final. And to do what he did, and I tell you, in the provincial final against Cloverdale, that touchdown pass that he caught for us to go up 60-0 pretty much broke Cloverdale's back. Amazing player. Glad to have you, Jacob Brass. Sorry about the script comment. I should try to find it.
Good job, buddy. Piss off.
I'll get a hug.
Sit down, shut up, we'll deal with it later. Okay, this guy here is talking while I'm talking, which doesn't surprise me. But I have a weird kinship with this guy. No matter how much he screwed around or did whatever, there's something I always liked about this guy. I do think pound for pound, he's probably top 3 toughest guys on the team because I know he's got a mean streak inside, but they also said he's a very good kid. I think he's probably one of the stronger blockers on the team, and I don't think I've seen a bigger guy. I always said a big man with fast feet and fast hands is very scary, and he was very solid for us on the line. This goes to Toby Knight. Good job, buddy.
So next player is part of our rotating line. D&O, and again, unfortunately, another one of our players that got hurt early. I see this player really adding a lot of depth for us. Got a great heart. I think it's somebody that keeps playing football that could be a really good leader and can do many things. And I haven't had a lot of time to see him play because he was hurt for a long time. But Sarah, you go a long way, buddy. Just keep on working hard. Come on up, man.
He made almost every practice in the rain when he was injured too.
And I should have
from beginning
mentioned
to
that.
end, which is very, very cool. Good job, Sarah.
There you go.
The first year I had this kid, I think he's been playing 3 or 4 years, and I know I recruited some kids that were going to go to SRT to come, 4 or 5 of them. They come play for us. And I talked to the JV coach last year, who I didn't know that well. I started asking about this kid and that kid that I didn't know. And he said, watch for this kid. He's quiet, but he was a gamer. Who was your JV coach last year? Who was that? What? Gibbons, Mike Gibbons, that was him. And he said, he's tough. He's tough in the middle. You just got to find what button to push to get him come in. And when he got going, he does have the potential to be a very, very good lineman or linebacker. Another great kid, Josh Gordon.
Hair should be blue though. Just saying.
Good job, Josh. There you go, buddy.
All right, so the next player, I'd have to say this is a senior player on the JV level, but only second year playing tackle football. I've been watching this kid since his initial first year of Pee Wee. He went through that whole year that year and realized his potential in the last 4 games that season. And unfortunately, he hurt himself in the Star Bowl, and that year tore his ACL. And the previous April or May, and crazy story because he didn't get his surgery till September, and I didn't even expect him back to play. He had made the Border Bowl too, and I didn't expect him to come back to play even flag. I didn't think he'd be ready, but when I seen him come on the field with a smile on his face, and I looked at him and thought he was just coming to work out, right? Throw the ball around, like, oh, you're just coming to go around, throw the ball around. He goes, no, I'm playing. really? Of course, I looked at the parents too. I go, it's good? No, doctor says it's good, strong. All right, so kind of babied him a little bit in the beginning, you know, as I'm sure he remembers. Almost like another parent out there because it's quite the injury. It's quite go through a lot emotionally and physically, and but he came all the way back and was amazing at flag. Came back and made every practice in Mission before we made the transfer. Did start at quarterback to our third game this year, and played both sides of the ball, led our team to a provincial championship. Sash, thank you. When he played the Knights at the Round Table, he had his surgery 1 year previous to that. That's a really good comeback. That's strong work, hard work.
Okay, I could talk for 2 hours about this guy. I know I've always told my kid, more important than scoring touchdowns is the type of person that you are. And there was 2 or 3 kids on the team when they're scoring touchdowns, would come up and say, you know what, I'd like so-and-so to get a touchdown. Or I'd like to get Wes a touchdown, he's blocking for me. And one player cannot win a football game because someone has to hand the ball off and block, so you're nothing without it. He missed hockey practices, hockey games to be at a football practice and led by example to his teammates. That one game, probably the second game in 14 years I've coached where you have the term you put the team on your back to win a football game. And he did that in the Valley Championship game. To back it up, when Chili Red, when we lost to that Langley 8-6, he came up to me in practice when Chili Red, they lost, it was 30-22. He goes, holy shit, I gotta try a little bit harder. We lost 8-6, I go, I guess so. You better buck it up a little bit, and he did. 6 touchdowns in that one game. Without him lighting up in that football game, it takes a team to win. We don't go to the provincials. But showed up to every practice, as I said, missed the practice, was a great teammate, and he's won a crap load of awards this year, well deserved, and that one goes to Gavin Whittingham. Good job, buddy.
Okay, so next guy is definitely a student senior at the junior band level, and another one of our Mission boys. We expected big things from this young man, both offensively and defensively.
I was hard on this guy too.
Brass is really hard on him. But then of course, we have the good cop, bad cop routine going on between me and Brass until I lose it. But I gotta tell you, from the beginning of the year, he was great on offense. His blocking, his catching ability, he caught some touchdowns for us, made key catches, great catches, but I think Gavin and Wesley and Saj understand more than everybody here. But the blocking that he provided on the edge, just to get that edge, just turn that guy in a little bit so we can, cut it upfield or cut outside upfield. Did a great job all year. Defensively, we were a little concerned because we thought he'd be a bit better. Than we, it was okay, but we were expecting more, being a second-year guy. And but we moved some people around because we're always tinkering, and we had him at the linebacker spot inside, and we as a group decided that, I just don't think that's a good position for him. Let's let him just use his speed and his strength and let him get after the ball. And we moved him over to D-end, and once we moved him to D-end, he became the player that we knew he could be, and was an unstoppable force. And anybody watched the provincial championship game,
MVP defensive guy in my mind in that game.
if they would have handed out a defensive MVP in that provincial game, it would have been won by him, and that's Ethan Gailey. Good job, buddy. sometimes we gotta cut you down a little bit to bring you back up.
This is Scotty's little favorite, and I've had this guy, gosh, now this could be the 4th year. Pound for pound, very, very tough. Not the biggest guy, but he would bring down guys twice the size of him, not exaggerating. And there've been times he hit guys so hard, might be a little water in his eyes, you okay? And he'd never want to see that he was hurt. And he goes, I'm good to go. That big number 20, when they started making a comeback on us in the Langley game, Scott told me a story. He came up to him and said, was that my fault? That's the kind of kid that he is. Scott goes, there's 4 or 5, 6 players that missed number 20 on that game, but he kept on. The guy's a gamer. He's a Patriots fan, so he can't be that bad. This one goes to Tristan Moss. What's the final score of the Patriots game?
35-7.
35-7. There you go.
Next player is not here tonight. Is he still away?
I have no idea.
I think he might have still been away. We were hoping he was back because we thought he was going to India, I believe.
He's still away.
Is he still away? Okay. I thought that it was 3 weeks, so I thought he'd be back by now. We kind of put off this year-end wind-up because of a few people being away and Christmas and New Year's and stuff. So, but this player's from Mission, and he's a junior. And you talk about great kids. Another kid with a constant smile on his face. This kid will do anything for the team. He works hard every practice. One of those kids that never fools around. I just never seen him fool around.
No.
It's all business, all the time, always trying to get better. And he played on all our special teams. He played as a corner whenever we asked him to. Again, he's only a first-year junior at the junior bound level. He's got another year, and the kid's going to be a stud. And that's Manraj Bullock. All right?
I just got a text from the dad. I don't know where Big Boy is tonight. He must be doing something for him. Yeah. I got a special place in my heart for Gabe. He's one of the guys I recruited that was going to school, and I called the dad, and he signed up the next day. Probably toughest guy on the team. Not a lot of you guys know him, but he played with a broken wrist, a bad back. He didn't want to come out. Played every position we asked him to. Was a beast in the middle, and he was a great kid. And I wish he was here tonight to get it, but this one goes to Gabe Fitzpatrick.
Yeah, it's okay. Brass can get it to him. Thank you.
All right. So this next player, he's a second year.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a second year. Plays on our offensive line. I gotta tell you something really quick about our offensive line. When I first came here, and I've seen the first time we went to practice and go a little scrimmage together, I'm not sure how many people picked it up in the stands during practice, but I stamped. I mean, I was like, what the hell is going on here? What have these guys learned? What's going on? And I was really concerned because I just didn't feel that the players had where I wanted and expected them to be, to be able to win a championship. And I didn't think that these players were ready at that point. But we had
We have some of our bad players.
we had a meeting with all the coaches, and we talked about what we expected. What we expected the kids to learn and how we wanted to develop them. And to all of our offensive linemen, they took that to heart, and they worked really hard. I mean, incredibly hard. And like when we were all, like Scott likes to call my offensive players, what do you call them? Primo Dantes? Or
Divas.
Divas, because we're soft and all this. Yeah, we score all the points. But
You don't do the hitting.
But these guys, while we're doing Scully and non-contact stuff at practice, the linemen, they're going at it and working hard. And when I first seen this player, I was like, he's not very big. And you know, he doesn't seem very fast. But I tell you, he really paid attention to the technical learning, his skills, what he needed to be a lineman, and it was like I watch film like probably no one here watches film more than I do.
It's true.
I swear there's no one close. And I watch these guys, and I watch the technique and his effort, and wow, he blew me away on film. And then when it got to the point where he wasn't out there, I'll be like, why isn't he out there? Because I wanted him on the field all the time, and that's Caden DeVries.
This could be his 4th year. Every single year from Adam, we do a draft, and I never had this kid. This was the first year I had him.
Do you need a minute, Dave?
And I'll go to this private quick in a sec. The parents will love this one. I caught the Langley coaches crying. I'll fill you in later. And he was on the opposite side of the Adam team or the Pee Wee team, and he caused me fits. And he was their go-to guy. He was a game breaker. You never beat me though. I don't think you ever beat us. But it was a bugger shutting him down. So he came first year JB, again, a kid that was stud in previous years, the go-to guy, and took a back seat like some of the other players. My kid, Jacob, 2, 3 others, that they had to do what's best for the team, and he didn't bitch or complain. He was a starting DB for I probably think he might have led, they're tied or up there for interceptions. Total faith in the guy. Coolest hair, I call him the worm because his head looks like there's a bunch of freaking worms coming out of it. And if he comes back again next year, you're running back material, dude, and you paid your dues, and we're glad to have you. Major piece, Devin Crenshaw.
Probably give me number 23 next year, brother. Yeah, that means right. All right, staying on the offensive line. This player is a junior. This kid here throughout the year wasn't really a great practice player.
Horrible practice.
Horrible practice player. I was trying to be polite.
But he showed up.
But he showed up, and But as the season progressed, though, he never quit. He kept on working, and the thing about this player, though, is he never quit practice. He always competed.
Yeah.
And he had a spark in him. He didn't like getting beat. He didn't like getting smacked in the mouth, call it, so to speak. But the one thing about this player is game day, he was just ready to play. Some guys don't show well in combines or practice, though this player did really improve his practice habits as the season progressed. I guess I'm really wanting to let you know when it comes, some players are just gamers, and this kid's a gamer without a doubt. He goes and plays hard, and he hits hard, and he never quits. And I really respect this player now more than I ever have before I knew him and had a chance to coach. And that's Levi Spencer.
He's in Cuba. Last one. I had this kid, oh gosh, I'll get confused, 4 or 5 years now. And I probably next to Sanderson, yeah, you. I called his name out 10, 20 times a practice. I leaned on him to the point the first 2 years, I thought the mom and dad wanted to kill me. But they come out and said, no, coach, you keep doing what you're doing. And this year, something clicked with him. He became very, very mature this year. His mom said it's because he actually drove a speedboat in the summertime, and that might have made it a little bit more mature. And I said to his dad halfway through this year, I said, something's happened with your kid. Like, he's always been a good kid, but his focus, but this year he goes, I think it was maturity, and he did mature, and he was one of our best linemen. That goes to Axel Stamp. Yep, okay. He's not here either. I don't know if he played a football game or not. Super duper good kid. He had a brother that played as well. I didn't get to know him as well this year, but he was in a car accident. He's still a part of this team.
What happened? How many games into it?
It was
Right after
just
the tournament.
right after the, yeah,
The
in
tournament?
September, beginning of September.
Hurt his back and didn't see him much. I should phone him and follow up with him because he's part of the team too. And he another really, really good kid, and I hope he's okay, and I feel bad thinking about it now to see how he's doing. So we'll find out how he's doing. And I think I had him last year, and he comes back again. This one goes to Ethan Williams, okay? Yeah, you can look through those real quick.
He wants to do them all, just tell him later.
All right, so we got some individual special awards. This award is for outstanding volunteer to our football team, and we just would like to thank Mary Ann Staton. And these, thank you. And I just like to mention that these trophies are actually are from the association. Okay, so thank you very much. Support.
Good job, Mary Ann. I'll talk about you in a sec.
Okay, we'll do this.
Okay, so our Lineman of the Year award, and I spent a little time talking about the linemen. As a group, I believe the football team revolves around that front line, both defensive and offensive side of the ball. But sometimes it's a hard pick. But this year, I believe that our line was led by Gabe Fitzpatrick. Okay, so he gets the Lineman of the Year. Our next award is for most improved player. We juggled back some different players back and forth. We all talked about it. Some players start to improve at the beginning of the season, right to the end. Some players, they all of a sudden come out of their shell with 2 games left. But the player that really caught our eye was the guy that came in that improved every game, every practice. Smiled, great attitude. By the end of the year, we could count on this player just as much as we could count on any player, and that's Joshua Clark from Mosul Group. Congratulations. The next trophy is for our best defensive player. And again, we had a ton of players on our defense that we could probably award it to, arguably. But when we look through the film, and the film does not lie, it doesn't. You can't change film, can't go back, you can only rewind forward. And you look game in, game out, how many tackles they made, how many times they turned somebody wide, how many times they turned somebody inside. Even if you're not making a tackle, you do your job out there, you're doing your job, you're doing well for the team. But when it came down to how many tackles he made and how he brought the team with him, and again, when he goes in beast mode, the other teams are in trouble. And that's why Wesley Latoon. Some people call him Wesley.
The newspapers did.
Fair enough. Okay, so again, now we're on to best offensive player. We may have already talked about this young man a little bit, but this young man's a student of the game. Again, he took over a job at week 3, and one thing I will tell you about a football player, I could look at somebody and talk to a football player, and I could tell them and I could give them instruction. Sometimes I get this blank stare, and I'm like, God, he didn't get that, did he? So I always try to find different ways to approach a kid and give him instruction. Sometimes a kid doesn't even look me in the eye. He just looks down and goes, "Yeah, okay." Right? This player, man, he looked me in the eye, understood instruction, would shake, nod his head, say, "Yes, coach." Yeah. Then he would go out and do what we just talked about. And he did everything he could to be the player he is, and he deserves this trophy. Best offensive player this year, Sash Singh. Keep going, buddy. Keep going.
Good job, buddy.
They are. I don't want nobody to say nothing, because this is, you know what?
Just call his
I
name.
might surprise you. Here we go. So, this is the most valuable player, and I think everybody in this room knows who that is on our team. But I want to tell you guys something that's very important. I want every player to listen to this, okay? When I came, I had Gavin first year of ABC Boardable last year, okay? I think Gavin carried the ball 3 times for me, okay? He didn't bitch, he didn't complain. He was already a good football player, but he was, in my mind, at that age, a developing player, okay? He played some defense, and he was good, but he was still a junior, okay? He was a very good football player. The year after, Gavin was the MVP of our ABC board, right? And he played one way mainly. But this year, as a player for Meadow Ridge Knights, I want to tell you something. Yeah, you know what? Everybody knows what a great running back Gavin was, and a great defensive player. But there's something, what happens to players when they get good, okay? They get these attitudes that they don't need to get better. They know it all. They don't need to improve their game. No one needs to tell them how to run the ball. Look at you, coach, you're a fat pig. I can run circles around. But when I talked to Gavin about how to read a field, how to understand blocking schemes and what we're doing, Gavin never ever tried to be the bigger player. I know it all. Gavin listened to instruction and learned and wanted to become better always. And he developed his craft. Hey, early in the year, Gavin wasn't taking holes. Gavin was running wide or running 3 people. But as the season went on, he learned and understood the value of his blockers and teammates, and the fact that it is a team game, and everybody knows what a great running back is. But Gavin, you continued to learn and became a student of the game, and you pushed yourself even harder to become better, and you were never satisfied with just being good. And when you become satisfied, okay, then that's what you become. Satisfied, and you become good. Okay, Gavin pushed himself, all right, to the next level, even better. Okay, and he became that, and he did all the work for it, and that is a great football player, and that's a player that's going to go somewhere because you have the right attitude, Gavin, and you keep that up, you are going to go places. So obviously, the most valuable player of Meadow Ridge Knights this year, Gavin Whittington. And I might add, everybody that I've talked to outside the Meadow Ridge Circle who has met Gavin has not even as a football player, but as a very nice young man. And the parents should be very proud of the young man he is as well. Except for Lord Langley.
No, you gotta wait for a second.
What do we do? Oh,
The boys want to say something.
I never said they could.
Very welcome, buddy.
I know, right?
Good job, guys. Good job, Sergeant. Good job, guys.
No, you're supposed to give it.
absolute pleasure.
Hey, don't make them say anything they don't want to say anything.
Hey, it's just our group, don't be sorry, it's just our group, man. You got something to say, say it.
Look at all those eyes. Look at all these eyes staring at you.
Hey, they can talk, you know, say everything all day long in front of anybody, but then all of a sudden it's like only them. Hey guys, just say,
This is the quietest you've ever been. Yeah?
So most of the year he's pretty cool. Pleasure to coach back in. I've come over from mission to come see him and everything. And that goes to Coach Dave Brass.
Yeah.
yeah.
Coach Steve Brass, just so you guys all know, is the Meadow Ridge Knights Football Association Coach of the Year. He did get presented an award last week at our coaches brunch. So
Loud and proud.
I would like to say thank you to all the coaches, and that we wouldn't have made it here without all of our coaches.
Duh.
Okay.
Just relax, dude. It's all good. This is your family. This is a football family, right? There's no other Langley guys in the room. Chill out.
They're still nice.
Yeah.
We know what you mean, buddy.
Thank you, Gavin. They had all these things they thought of.
They yelled at us all year for doing it.
I know, right?
Is that how
Go ahead,
you
Sam.
yelled on a date?
Go ahead, Sam. Said, thank you, Sam. Sam's gonna man up for you.
First of all, I want to say thank you to Coach Brass and Coach Dave for leading me to this provincial championship, and all the staff members and everything helping me with everything, all my injuries and everything, and Coach Scott teaching me how to hit, teaching me how to wrap up, teaching me how to get low. It's a good experience throughout this whole year. Thank you.
Thank you, Sam. Very good. Good job, guys. Thank you. You guys are brilliant. Love you guys all.
I know this has been going on for a bit, but been going on for a little bit here, but it's this next part's super duper important. And I said that as important as the players are, the parents, the trainers, and I've had Mary Ann for the last 5 years, I think now 4 or 5 years as a trainer. And a very quick story, won't get her flowers in her card. I call her Meek Mary Ann. As you know, I'm a very docile coach on the bench. I don't get excited. But I make probably 50 trips to the water bottle on the bench in between plays. And Meek Mary Ann, I call her, she stands back. And I always would look at her expression is to see if she thinks I'm a retard, a moron, over the top. But I gauge her face by my behavior, and she would just have to look at me. But there was one specific play, I think we're down a couple touchdowns. Of course, I was jonesing out about something. And I walked back to the bench, and we tied the game up, and I came back, and I looked at her, and I'll never forget, she looked at me, and she goes, "Did that make you feel better, Dave?" And I just stared at her like, my mind totally went like, yeah, like, you, like, oh my God, it's good to hear. So I love Marianne, but she kept me in check without saying a word. And her family went through quite a year this year with her mom and Mitch's dad, right? So our condolence, it's going to be a good 2018, I told to Mitch. And through it all, Axel, you manned up. You come to practice every day. And I don't think anybody, knew ever for the worst for you out there. So very strong family. And this goes to Marianne, our team manager.
Does that make you feel better?
Thank you. Thank you for the year. Thank you.
not the bitch.
She knows who she is. She does tireless fundraising, as does her husband, with this football club. I know for a fact they probably put out money without asking for it, hosting parties, poker nights. They become very, very considered good friends of mine. And she gave Amanda huge help this year. And she was a good little energy button to have with our football team. I hope if Gavin plays community ball that she comes back and this goes to Tina.
So did I, so did Briggs.
Thank you.
Well, you just like, you're like, oh, it ain't me.
Amanda didn't even have a kid on the football team. She's our league president. The AGM is coming up on the 17th. Personally, she has my vote. Nobody has a clue the amount of time that she's put in, the amount of time she puts in with her personal life, a lot of other stuff that she's gone through, and the amount of time that she put into this club. I've never honestly had a better team manager from the very beginning to the end. She also, don't hate me for saying it, she's put money into this organization, and she knows, Brian says, don't tell me anything, but she paid for this and she paid for that. And she's put her own hard-earned money into this club, which I caught wind of as well, to make this all run a lot smoother for you guys. And when I say you have no idea the amount of time that she puts into it and it goes flawlessly, this team doesn't function without a team manager. And you guys owe her a very big round of applause, and I hope she comes back again. And if you come out to the AGM, there's nobody that does more work than she does. And I strongly recommend that you take a look at strong leadership when it comes to the AGM. This goes to Amanda. Very quick story, and we'll finish up. And if you guys want to run upstairs for a few more minutes and finish up some food, okay?
Absolutely.
Sit down, Stanton. I'm not done. Very quick story. What Dave said when he consoled me and said, "It's okay, Dave."
Hey,
Where's Adam? Where's my kid Adam?